what has helped me is exposing myself to people who speak positively, who mentor me, whether they know me or not, who I listen to. And so I choose to read and expose myself to content that pumps me up. That tells me I can do this, I was made for bigger and greater things, that tell me that I need to work on myself and show me how to work on myself so that every single day there's little improvements that I'm making, small, micro ones.
Yeah.
But in 10 years, you don't recognize who I am because I've not allowed that self-doubt to sit and simmer.
Hi, I am Aboimboro, a corporate girl who also has multiple passions. When I'm not at my 9 to 5, I spend time focusing on growing my small side business that I love. I created From Stack to Unstoppable podcast to give you simple, actionable strategies to help you get unstuck from limiting beliefs and find your purpose. If you're a professional, a 9 to 5er, or an aspiring entrepreneur and are looking to get out of your comfort zone, use your God-given talents and passion, you, my friend, are in the right place. Let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode of From Stack to Unstoppable podcast. So today I'm joined by a powerhouse in financial education. Her name is Rina Hicks. Now, Rina is a financial coach. She's an author and the operating director of Faida Investments Bank in Kenya. She is best known for her work through MoneyWise, a platform she founded to provide financial literacy and personal financial education. Rina is also the author of the book, MoneyWise, Create, Grow, and Preserve Wealth. What I love about this episode is that we get into the mindsets that prevent us from creating more money. And Rina also shares strategies on how we can find gaps that we can fill to create money. So stay tuned, grab a notebook and a pen, and join us as we embark on this journey with Rina on how to conquer our fear to make smart financial decisions and live our best lives. Hi there, Rina. Thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you, Amboy. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So tell me, when people ask, tell me a little bit about yourself, what do you tell them?
Well, it varies, depends on the audience. For you, I will tell you, my name is Reena Hicks, and I am an investment banker and a very passionate investment professional. I have been in the financial services industry for the last 20 years, and I'm passionate about helping people not just invest, but also be literate where finances are concerned. And I'm an author, I'm an executive coach, I am a mother, I am a wife, and I wear many, many, many hats. I'm also an entrepreneur and really excited to be here with you.
I am so excited, so honored that you could make the time. It seems like we have a little bit in common, except for the financial part. And that's why I brought you in, because I need help. And I know most of my listeners need help as well. So what led you into this path of being a leader in financial education?
Well, I guess in my own journey, I've made massive mistakes. I've talked so much about all the different mistakes I've made just to help people recognize that despite the fact that I talk about it a lot, I'm not doing it from a pedestal. Come, I show you how it's done, but it's from a place of humility and also just recognizing that I have had my own personal journey of mistakes and having learned from them. And I think my natural, I call it a spiritual gift is. And so when I learn something, I'm like, come, let me show you what I have learned. Let's learn together. So I'm usually very excited about sharing what I'm learning. And as a result of that, I've carried different audiences with me whoever would care to listen along my journey with me. So that's how I got started. I started working at Faida Investment Bank 20 years ago. The company was founded by my father. And so he asked that I join him as soon as he noticed that I had interest in the financial services sector. It wasn't my first job. I worked in e-commerce in an IT company before that. So then joined him, and I love that I found my space. I think I am a unique financial professional because my background is very colorful. I've been into, I was in theater, was a choreographer, did my own show at some point that was aired on Kenya Airways, in-flight entertainment. So I've been in the entertainment sector, funny enough, and then I've been in marketing and now finance professional. So I think I've been able to express myself in my unique way within the financial services sector, which is very different from what you typically would find, straight-jacketed, serious, jargon-speaking professionals. So that's not me. And I love that I found my space there. And I think my encouragement then to people who are sort of in school, sort of feeling like, I love these two things. I'm like, you can be anything. You can create anything that you want as long as there's a need for it. So anyway, I've digressed. So I began this journey when I started to experience clients within the stockbroking space who would come and sort of sit at my desk and tell me they want to invest. And I'd ask them all these questions. Why do you want to do this? What are you going to do after this? What are your goals? And we'd get into this whole story and they'd become such good friends. And then at the end of it, they'd say, can you come and talk to my team at church? Can you come and talk to my youth group? Can you come and talk to the men at my chama? Those sorts of things. And that's how my journey began. And then ended up writing a book from the encouragement of my mom and some clients who said, you need to write a book. And so I did that. And once you write, you kind of need to talk about what you've written. Otherwise, no one will ever know that you wrote anything. So that's where the journey began, and registered a company that's separate from the investment bank to then offer financial literacy training, coaching, and content creation. And that's where it all started.
That's a very diverse background, and just finding your space now with financial literacy and teaching it. Like we were saying earlier, a friend of mine who lives in New Jersey told me, hey, she's a Forex trader and she does very well with that. And she said, thank Rina, because that's how I started my financial, really her career. And that's what she does 24/7.
Wow.
So you've been impacting people, a lot of people, and as well as myself. In fact, I watched one of your videos and you were talking about the different buckets to put, and we'll talk about that. And you can let us know how to invest. And I started paying myself, because I never used to pay myself, and said, okay, I need to start paying myself, and with your advice. So thank you.
Thank you. That's very encouraging.
You are making a difference. Yeah.
Thank you.
So now let's talk about those. How would you advise someone who is maybe starting a business or a professional? Let's maybe even start with maybe professionals, because we are in both, right? I'm a professional and I have a business. You're a professional, you have a business, What would you suggest in terms of like setting our short-term goals to have, or even just setting our goals to match our financial goals? How would you advise someone who is maybe employed and they want to know, okay, what, I'm going to be retiring in another 10 years or in whatever number of years. These are my goals. And how do you tie them with your financial goals, so that when you retire, you're not just exiting to nothing.
Yeah. So let me start by saying that finances touch on everything.
Yes.
From the beginning to end, whatever it is that you desire to do to become, finances are part of that. Right. And so as you set goals, I think it's important to think about your desires and list them down. I think sometimes when you have goals, what we would call dreams, they're just in your mind. You're thinking, it would be so nice it would be so lovely if I could. So I think it's best where somebody actually just takes a pen and paper and writes down, this is what I want to be able to do. I want to go here. I want to do this. I want to be able to afford this. I want to have this amount of money, and just clarity around what they want to do.
Okay.
Once you've listed them down, I think it's important to then categorize those goals in terms of what's critical or what's short-term. It could be in two ways, I think, in terms of how critical it is and also whether it's short-term or long-term. So the first stage would be, is it within the next 3 months? Is it within the next 6 months? So is it short-term, medium-term, or long-term? And then what is the cost of these goals? How much will it cost me if I want to go back to school and sign up for a certification, or I want to have children, or I want to get married, I want to have a wedding, I want to go on a trip somewhere. So what would the potential cost of that thing be? Once you know the potential cost, then you can also prioritize based on your personal circumstances. So a lot of times I have made mistakes here. So where I say, oh, I want my children to go to the best school in the world, okay? Because I want the best for my children.
Of course.
And I'm like, I have faith it's going to work. But meanwhile, I have no idea how much this school costs. I have no idea what other costs, in terms of extracurricular activities. I don't have the details. And so I can't even plan effectively. Or if I'm even praying and I have faith that God will answer my prayers, I don't even know what number I'm asking him for. So I think I'm
good specific. Okay.
Yes, I have to be specific.
Yeah.
So what's that place that you want to be, or what's that thing you want to have, and then work towards it. So and I think you'll find that with all these goals, some of them don't necessarily have a figure in terms of money, because it could be, I want to read 5 books a month, Of course, there's a cost there, but it might not be that significant. Maybe the books are in your cupboard and you bought them years ago. But it's always important to sort of think through, what is the goal that I have, and how can I bring it down to what does that mean for me today? So I want to be able to afford to travel to the US next August for holiday. Okay, so what does that mean for me today? And how much do I need to then put aside for me to be able to get that? So I think in a nutshell, just to summarize what I'm saying, is list your goals. The moment you put your goals on a piece of paper and you can see them, then you can actually start to visualize the possibility of being able to achieve those things. Half the issue is in our inability to see.
True.
Yeah.
To our inability to see. So be very clear, have clarity, write them down, and let them have meaning. And they must have a cost to it.
Yes.
Okay, and then start saving or investing, or however that looks like.
Exactly.
Okay, very good. Now, you talk a lot about different types of investments.
Yeah.
Can you please tell my listeners what are some of the investments that you think, currently in this current financial economic status that we are in, what are some of the best investments that one can make?
Yeah, so the different investment opportunities will vary depending on what you want to get out of it. So I'll give you an example. Somebody reached out to me just yesterday saying, I have 1 million shillings and I have it for 12 months. Where can I invest it? That's going to be very different from someone who says, I have 1 million shillings and I don't need it for the next 10 years. I want to have it as a deposit towards my children's university education. So very different. So the choices of investment opportunities, while yes, the season matters, really at the end of the day, to be honest, it's more guided not by the season, but rather mostly by what is my goal. Okay. So within the goal, then you have different options that you would then get into. So let me give you an example.
Okay.
So typically you would look at investing decisions based on, what do I really want to be able to do? I must be able to have a roof over my head, an emergency fund in place. I also want to invest so that then in the future, I can continue to afford my standard of living. But I also want to do great things like pay for education for children who are not my own. I want to be able to give back. I want to be able to plant 1 million trees. And so the goals that I have are varied. There are those that are for my safety net. There are those that are for being able to enjoy my standard of living. And then there's those where I want to be able to pursue my dream. Okay. So those goals are the typical 3 areas that you then would look at investing in. For your safety net, your emergency fund, for making sure that you can afford your current, to survive, right? Your basic needs, you can afford them. You would look at things like a money market fund, certificates of deposit with a bank. For someone who's listening who's not from Africa, they call them certificates of deposits in countries like the US, or fixed deposit accounts, where you negotiate with a bank to deposit your money at a good rate. and you lock your money, let's say for 3 months or for 1 month. You can also invest in treasury bills. Treasury bills is where you lend your money to the government and they pay you back after certain periods of time, depending on how long you want to invest for. So those kinds of investments would be for short-term opportunities. Like I need my money back in 6 months. I'm saving for a wedding or I'm saving for a car. So you would park your money in a very safe opportunity. Okay. In an environment where interest rates are coming down, because that's the current environment that we're in, and it's global, where we're finding interest rates are much up, but now it's more difficult to kind of get the rates that we were getting before. You want to try and lock in higher interest rates now, because we are on the 30th of October 2024, yes, and interest rates are coming down. And so if you want to invest for the next 1 year, then lock in the high interest rate now. Don't wait another week. Because literally every day we're finding that interest rates are coming down slightly by a few basis points. And so the sooner you can lock in your investment, the better for you. And then try and lock it in for a longer period of time. So that's the advice I would say that for now, in terms of the recent events that are going on. Okay. Then I've got to the next level, which is now I'm looking to be able to sustain my current standard of living, to be able to afford to do the things that I'm doing now, to be able to afford tuition for my children and so on. I want to invest in such a way that my money works alongside me and grows as well. So what would that be in? You would be looking to invest in things like stock market, things like treasury bonds, and treasury bonds also is where you are, investing in government securities, and the government then pays you back over a certain number of years. So maybe 5 years, 10 years, there's different tenors or maturities in terms of length of time with bonds. You can also lend your money to a company, what we call corporate bonds. So, these companies that are stable, well-run, that are blue chips, strong companies that every so often will borrow money. And they'll borrow money even maybe for short periods of time, like a year, some 2 years. And you can lend them the money and they pay you back. So you would have to do this through investment banks. We're an investment bank that usually creates these instruments. Okay. And so you can lend them the money and they pay you back. Usually because it's a company, the risk is higher, and so return would be higher. Okay. And so you can get slightly higher returns. And I'm just giving you some examples of.
Yes. Yeah.
Things like investing in real estate. So you want to generate a passive income. So you can invest in commercial or residential real estate, or you can decide, I will get into the business of buying real estate that's a bit run down, fix it up, and then sell. So that's also part of being able to sustain your current standard of living. You could end up being in a business. So you can go into consulting, or you can go into a business that generates products or services. That's also part of that. Okay. Then finally, in terms of, do you want to say something?
No, go ahead. I'll talk. I'll ask the questions after you've talked about the third one. Yeah.
Okay. And then so now finally, now we want to be able to invest in such a way that we are really creating real wealth. Yeah, we are making a difference. I was not born to just have my house, my little picket fence, my dog, 3 kids, a husband and a car. No, I was born for much more than that.
Meaning in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we want to be able to give back, to be able to give meaningfully. And so as we also invest, and this doesn't mean in 50 years, even now, I want to be able to give and to give into different causes that I'm passionate about. And we all need to do the same. Yeah. And so you want to invest in such a way that you make really good returns that enable you to give me. Okay. So you would need to take a little bit more risk. So for example, if I had a business and all my reinvesting is in that business, that is quite a huge risk because I don't have other investments. And so that's my aspirational basket. Or if I invest in Forex, that's high risk. So I could potentially make huge returns, but I can also make losses. So that's also investing in such a way that you can make really good gains. Investing in other people's businesses, what we call private equity or venture capital. Okay. So I'm taking risk because I can see this opportunity that's coming in. This tech business is going to grow, and in the next 5 years will do really well. I'll probably make 5 times or 10 times my investment. And so then I go ahead and do that. So you see, it's guided by my goals.
Okay.
The problem is that people want to invest where they can get 10x, right, returns
like tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And usually those ones, I could potentially lose everything. So you want to invest in such a way that is a bit methodical. Okay, so I have my safety net, I have an emergency fund. Should anything go wrong, even if I invest in this 10x opportunity, I am not going to lose my mind if I lose my money because I have this safety net that's in place. And of course, the safety net then also includes things like insurance for healthcare, insurance for life insurance, maybe an education policy or an education plan for my children and things like that. So yeah, in summary, that's what that would look like.
So safety net first. And do you have to do them in any order? Do you first say, you first focus on the safety, and then before I focus on my lifestyle and what I want to, and then my meaning, the giving back, the three baskets? Do you use it?
So what I typically suggest is that as long as you have your emergency fund and health insurance in place, then you can start investing in these others. So health insurance, most people who are employed, is covered anyway. So, but if you're an entrepreneur, it's important to have health insurance. So if that's taken care of and you have your emergency fund for at least 3 months, then you can start investing in these other things. And also it just depends. For some people with 1 month emergency, they're good and they can start to invest in other things. So you don't, to answer your question specifically, you don't have to have them, sort of fully taken care of. It's not kind of like a step. You're not moving from one level to the other. It's just that you need to have a certain level of safety net in place to then start investing in higher risky opportunities. And what is a solid or a safety net that's enough will vary depending on your personal circumstances. Are you a parent? Do you have children? Do you have dependents? Are you single? Are you 23? Or are you 50 taking care of a village, So it'll vary.
It'll vary on your circumstances and your goals. That's really good. Now, treasury bonds. I have a hard time understanding what is the difference between treasury bonds and treasury. Are there two different types of treasury bills?
Yes.
What's the difference?
So the difference is that treasury bills are short term. So treasury bills, the government borrows, but for very short periods, 3 months, 6 months, and 1 year.
Okay.
So those are the three kinds. Different countries will have different terms, but on average, if you look around the world, they're typically those 3 tenors: 3 months, 6 months, 1 year.
Okay.
Treasury bonds by nature are longer term.
Okay.
So you'll find they're usually from about 1 to 2 years, all the way even to 30 years.
Okay.
So you find a government will issue a bond for 5 years, for 3 years, for 2 years, for 10 years, 15 years, and so on. But even in their structure, they're slightly different. So a treasury bill, what happens is the government will offer you the opportunity to invest, but you will invest at a discount. They're usually discounted. So let me explain. Let's say you're investing $1,000. So you would invest, and let's say the treasury bill is offering you a 10% return. So that 10% return is $100, right? If you're investing $1,000. So paying at a discount means that you actually earn your interest ahead of time. So instead of paying $1,000, you'll actually pay to the government $900. And then at the end of the year, you'll get $1,000. Now, for anyone investing in treasury bills, in order for you to actually make the return, you have to invest that $100.
Okay.
The mistake a lot of people make is like, I've invested in T-bills, but they're not investing the interest, and so they're not growing their money. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
So you invest 900 and then you end up with 1,000. Yes, you will get your 100 above the 900, but then you will not see the difference because the 100 is still in your account. And so with the 100 that's left, because you are prepared to pay 1,000, my encouragement to clients is usually the 100 that's left, invest it.
Yes.
So that in actual fact, you've invested 1,000. So the 100 that then you invest elsewhere then continues to grow and compound. And so you actually make up a higher return than just investing in the T-bill. So that's something that people should consider doing. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know. Now, with the treasury bills, can one put that as one of your short-term, because you see they can be for 3
Yes.
months, 6 months, so they can
Yeah.
also be like for my emergency fund, or do you suggest money markets?
Yeah, so it depends. If, let's say, I need an emergency fund for, let's say, 6 months, I've already got 3 months or maybe even 2 months in my in a money market fund.
Yeah.
I could actually, let's say, I could invest a portion of it in a treasury bill that's short term for 3 months.
Okay.
There's no harm in doing that, but not. I wouldn't say put all your emergency fund, because an emergency fund, by definition, should be able to be immediately accessible.
True.
When I need it.
Yes.
So the challenge is, if I put it in a treasury bill, it's locked for the 3 months or for the 6 months. Then I'll face some challenges when I'm trying to get the liquid cash out. So I'd say if you have a big emergency fund, you can put some of that in a T-bill, a short-term T-bill. But then, find ways to also have a good chunk of it in a money market fund that's still growing, but and earning you a good return. Yeah.
Yeah. How about savings accounts?
Yeah, so I mean, savings accounts have their value in terms of, well, depending on the structure in the bank, where I do need to have a bank account for transactions. Okay, so I need to have a bank account to receive money, to pay money, and so on. So if your bank account allows you to have a savings account that also operates almost like a current account, where I can do multiple transactions without it being too restrictive and too expensive, then why not? Okay, meaning then that it's almost like a current account, but I'm earning something from my money in it. Fantastic. It's a great balance to be able to have.
Okay.
But keeping money in a savings account only as your emergency fund, I think, is not a good idea, because you're missing out on the opportunity to make higher returns on your money.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. So let's shift gears here and talk about mindset. So most of my listeners are aspiring entrepreneurs, and others are professionals who struggle with self-doubt and limiting beliefs or imposter syndrome, all these things.
Okay.
Now, you are employed, right? You work for a family. You work for your family, and as well, you have your own business now. And you're here, you're teaching. You're one of the leaders that I know who teach about financial literacy. How was that when how has that been for you? Do you ever find that sometimes you have that self-doubt and thinking, who am I to teach this stuff? Because a lot of my listeners have that self-doubt. And how would you advise them to step out and be the best that they were created to be? Go out there and...
Yeah, I think we all at some point struggle with that, self-doubt. I think the key thing is not to let it simmer. It's a big enemy of the mind. It's one of the big enemies of the mind. Self-doubt, pessimism, negative talk, telling yourself, who am I anyway? Yes. I tell you, the moment you start down that road, you actually begin to believe it. And it can then actually end you up in a place where you don't ever achieve anything. I think what has helped me is exposing myself to people who speak positively, who mentor me, whether they know me or not, who I listen to. And so I choose to read and expose myself to content that pumps me up. That tells me I can do this, I was made for bigger and greater things, that tell me that I need to work on myself and show me how to work on myself, so that every single day there's little improvements that I'm making, small, micro ones. But in 10 years, you don't recognize who I am, because I've not allowed that self-doubt to sit and simmer. So self-doubt, all of us face it, but it's you telling yourself, by the way, I can do it and I'm going to do it. I know I don't have the money right now, but somehow I'm going to make this thing work. I know it's difficult for me. I know there's no other woman who's been able to achieve this, but guess what? I'm going to do the best that I can, and I can do this. I'm going to get favor. I have been created for great things, and I can do this. So that you have to kill that self-doubt, because if you let it stay, I tell you, one way you will stick there.
Oh, yeah. It puts you on a spiral for sure.
It does.
Now, let's talk about, you have a course on what is your course about? Do you mind telling my listeners what your course is about? And you have an
Yeah,
online
sure,
course,
sure.
right? Yeah.
I do have an online course. The course is called Investable.
Okay.
And Investable is a program that we put together after about almost 19 months of a lot of research and thinking and recording and putting together ebooks and lots of content around the investment process.
Okay.
So what Investable does is solves the problem that a lot of people have when they ask the question, I have some money, where do I begin? I don't know how to invest. I don't know how to make the decision on what investment option to go for. So Investable takes participants through a journey of discovering, first of all, who am I where my values are concerned? What's important to me and what's my big why? Because that's where it has to start. What are my values? What's important to me?
Right.
And then how can I manage my money in a way that aligns with my values and with my goals and with my needs? And then helps you sort of understand the relationship between your goals, your needs, your values, and investing. And then goes further into what are the different investment options that are available for me for the different goals that I have. And then looking at how do you evaluate those different opportunities? What are the red flags that you need to watch out for? How can you assess and what, should I invest in real estate or should I invest in a bond? And how do I make the distinction between the two? And through the course, then we have other bonus courses. So for example, what's the difference between an annuity and a drawdown? As I'm thinking about my pension, should I sign up for both? Should I sign up for one? What's cryptocurrency? How does it work? What's Bitcoin? What's blockchain? Looking into things like really assessing, why is it important for me to even know my values? And how do values relate with money? Like, is that even something I should even think about? We even have a very interesting test on there where we talk about money personalities and how our money personality impacts the way that we show up and the relationship we have with money.
Yeah.
And how that affects also the relationships that we have where money is concerned. And so by the end of this program, we have people being able to create an investment plan that they can follow that is methodical. So we've had quite a number of people who've done it. We have over 400 people who've gone through it. We actually have a very active alumni who are in a group, and every day there's lots of interaction as people are, discovering different investment options. We've had people from Kenya, we've had people in Uganda, the UAE, the US, the UK, from different regions, most of them Kenyans, some of them from different countries. Even South Africa, who've gone through the program and have begun to invest from a place of knowledge and understanding.
Now, is it open for signing up anytime, or is it like?
It is.
Okay.
So we normally run it in cohorts. However, even in between cohorts, you can sign up for the course. I'll give you the links so then you can paste it on your on your video and also on your different channels so that people can actually access it, register for it, and begin. The beauty about it is that with the cohorts that we do, I do go through the program with a weekly Q&A once we've gotten to, so twice a year, I have weekly Q&As with those who've done the program, and we go through the program together, sort of answering very specific questions that they may have. Sometimes we'll have a guest speaker. But our platform has so much content that they wouldn't even need the Q&As, I don't think, because we actually post even the live Q&As on the platform as well. So lots of value.
That's awesome. I'm sure that it's important also just to have that live, the Q&As. I'm sure that's very meaningful and impactful. So now, what else can you tell our listeners? What else did we miss out? And what did we not talk about?
Yeah, so I think I'm still stuck on the mindset issue. I think what I want to say is one of the things that I learned that fundamentally changed my view on wealth is wealth is a function of an income of any kind. It doesn't matter how much you earn. It doesn't. You have an income. Great. We can create wealth. All you need is that income, consistency, and time. And I've seen this multiple times over. As I said, I've been in this industry for 20 years. And so I've seen it in my clients. I've seen it in, my colleagues. I've seen it, that those who are able to consistently put money aside whenever they get it. And I'll reference George Clayson's book that I think the whole world has read, The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yes.
And he just says it so plainly. And I love it because it's like fiction, but then teaches such powerful principles on managing finances. And one of the things he says is that everything that you earn, you must keep some for yourself. And that's where the pay yourself first comes from. Yeah, George Clayson's book. Yeah. Pay yourself first. It just means that everything that you earn, even a bonus, dividends, whatever income you earn, take some of that money, 10% minimum, and keep it for yourself. Keeping it for yourself means invest it. So that it gets children, those children get more children, and keep reinvesting. And you just find it's like a snowball effect. And over time, then, your investment actually grows and you do create wealth over time. So I think, and the reason I chose to give that story and that sort of nugget is because one of the biggest pushbacks I get from people is, but I don't earn enough to save and invest. My salary is so little. I don't have an income that is even worth talking about, which potentially could be true. But then the question is, what can you then do to get that income of whatever kind? Just find a way to get an income. So, I think that's really important. And then from an income perspective, people need to start thinking or continue thinking, what problem is so big that I need to solve?
Okay.
And that I can
problem
solve.
Is so big that I need to solve.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because once you solve that problem, then you become valuable. And people will pay for it.
Okay.
So if there's a problem and it's a problem that is a big problem, and the problem could be even things like, all the goggles, so random, but all the goggles in the store fog when I swim. Like they're constantly fogging. I need goggles that don't fog. It's a problem. And then you come up with this technology that your goggles never fog. They never fog. And so who can come up with a solution for goggles that never fog? You will never stop selling because it's very frustrating to swim with goggles that keep fogging.
Hey.
Okay, it's very random.
It's not random because, Rina, I'm taking swimming lessons. All right.
Okay.
Yesterday, I went in the pool and I'm telling you those goggles I couldn't even see. I'm like, I kept removing them and I'm wiping them with the water. It's not random. That is
okay.
So
yeah, anti-fog, like proper anti-fog goggles that are not too expensive. That's a solution. Or maybe who can come up with stockings, I don't know what you call them in the US, that don't tear the second time I wear them.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Like shears stockings that I can wear that are long lasting but still look beautiful.
Go find a need. That's what you're telling me.
Find a need. Yes. Go find a need, a meaningful need, and you have a solution for
it.
And I tell you, you will make money.
Wow.
Even as simple as I'm a tea girl, I serve tea in my office, but people like to have tea and coffee with a bite to eat.
Hey, with mandazi.
With mandazi. I can start selling mandazi. Or they prefer fruit. And so maybe I can sell fruit because people have become so healthy. Mandazi doesn't work in my office. How can I buy fruit from the market, cut up nice, fruits and sell in my office as you know what I mean? Like because people want to work at their desks, they don't want to go out. Or maybe you want to create a cabinet in your office where you have chocolate and fruit and drinks. People don't need to go to the shops to buy their stuff. Right at the office, they can buy it from you. And you just have it in the fridge. Oh my gosh, I feel like a yogurt. It is here. And it is, you just charge a little extra. You know what I mean?
This is so good. These tips you're giving, they are so good because you actually, it helps someone think, okay, like you said, some people think, I don't make much, but you can be resourceful. And one of the things I know, Tony Robbins, you know of Tony Robbins? He talks about, it's not a lack of resources that we don't, it's being resourceful. It's not being resourceful. So you're telling us, be resourceful.
Yes.
Make it work. Make what you have work. It could be something in your house.
Absolutely.
Right. I like that.
Your comment has reminded me of somebody that I met, and she was a stay-home mom. And she was just like, we need money. We don't have enough. I have a baby on the way. And so she lived in an estate where they had many blocks of apartments. And what she noticed is that most of the tenants were men. Okay, so single men, bachelors. And so she just did a price list, okay, and said, I will wash for you. Because she looked at her house and she was like, I have a washing machine. It's not much effort. I have a washing machine. So you charge for washing, charge for ironing, so people can wash and they iron for themselves. Right. She can wash, she can iron, she can fold, and all these different things. Trousers, shorts, shirts, and things like that, and sent it around the estate. And she got a lot of customers and was able to make her pocket money.
Wow.
By offering washing services from her home.
Right. So being resourceful. This is there's hope. I am so.
There's hope.
This conversation makes me just feel there's hope. This is good, Reena. You are such a gift. I mean, really, and I'm so happy to be in your world now. Now, tell my listeners where they can find you.
So thank you. So first of all, Wambui, so much for this opportunity to have the conversation. I think it's always so energizing when I have these conversations. So people can find me on my LinkedIn page. I think that's the easiest. On LinkedIn, you'll be able to get everything that I am about. So whether that's Faida Investment Bank, MoneyWise, but you can find MoneyWise on YouTube. We have over 400 videos online for free with a lot of content that you can benefit from. So it's YouTube MoneyWise with Reena Hicks. Please join, access it, subscribe, and you get notifications whenever we are online. Faida Investment Bank on our website, on LinkedIn as well. All these different products I've talked about, whether we're talking about money market funds, whether we're talking about treasury bills, treasury bonds, and we have a fantastic new product that we have called the Oak Special Fund that I would highly encourage everyone to consider investing in, because it looks at global markets. It's not just Kenya we're investing in, but we're investing in international markets as well. Okay. And it's making really good investments, and we're doing really well there as well. So I'd encourage people to reach out to us, and we'll be able to give them a lot more information on how they can invest and grow their wealth.
Of course. What did you say that product is called?
Oak, OAK.
Okay.
Oak Special Fund.
Okay, so I'll make sure I put all that in our show notes, your links, your social media handles, and where we can find you.
Awesome. And I'll send you all the links, including the websites where they can find us as well.
Very good. So nice to have you again. And we'll have you. You'll come back, because there's a lot to unpack about finances.
Yeah, there always is. There always is.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So there you have it. I hope you found value in this episode as much as I did. Leave a comment and let us know what your takeaway was. And make sure you tag Reena and myself. And until next time, take care.
Hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, please take time to review and rate it. It's the fastest and easiest way to say thank you for creating this content. Until next time, keep thriving. I cannot wait to see you next week. Take care now.